Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, it was a good holiday weekend for the Cubs. Nearly great, if not for a rare poor outing from Brad Keller. Just a couple balls fell, and then a big hit from their backup catcher, Pozo, and he definitely enjoyed that 3-run homer. But the Cubs scored 28 runs over the weekend, took 2 of 3, dominated in those 2 wins. Even 11-3. What was it? 8 home runs on July
Yeah.
4th.
Yeah.
It just a ridiculous display of power, and the offense just kept rolling. Only 1 home run on Sunday, a solo shot from Seiya Suzuki, and they still put up 11 runs, uh, continuing to show that they can score in different ways. I think if you are a pitcher that struggles to miss bats, like Miles Michaelis, like Eric Fetty, you are in for a long day at the ballpark against this Cubs offense. You better be able to strike guys out. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good day.
Yeah, the 4th of July was one of those Craig Counsell, you come to the park, you never know what you might see that day, type of events. And no doubt, I was talking with someone at Wrigley over the weekend about this, of like, Cubs can beat you in different ways. And I think that's makes this team pretty dangerous. And, as we start to look ahead deeper into the second half, potential postseason possibilities, like they can put balls in the seats and they can really put a ton of pressure on the opposing team with their ability to run. And when you have a lineup stacked with stars in the middle of the order, and then you get some nice contributions from the lower half, like that is a really reliable formula. And I'm sure Cubs fans enjoyed seeing the Cardinals sort of teeter this weekend. I think this is the type of weekend that would probably factor into their trade deadline calculus, right? Of like, if this continues, they're going to have a real hard time justifying buying. Not that they had big plans to anyways in this weird sort of gap year, but this certainly created some more distance between them and the Cardinals. And I do think it's a nice sort of segue or lead into the All-Star break here, and an All-Star game that's going to have a heavy Chicago flavor.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to dive too deep into the Cardinal situation. I like some of their players, especially some of their position players. I think I was telling someone in the press box yesterday, Sunday, that it's almost like their offense is like last year's Cubs team, in the sense that there's no star there, but it's talented. There's plenty of talent. It's just there's no star, and there's not going to be consistency, and you kind of worry about that. If they can add a star, I like that offense a lot. It's the pitching with that team, and I don't know how you can justify buying when you look at your pitching. It's almost like they need to start calling up young guys and give them an opportunity and see what they do. If that leads to more winning, hey, good job by them. They're developing their youth, but that's a team in my eyes. You look at, at least 2/5, 40% of your rotation is not going to get the job done pretty regularly, in my opinion. Like, those guys are struggling. Fetty and Michaelis, they just, you face a good offense, you're not going to have a good day. Yeah, as far as the Cubs go, I don't know what else to say other than, look, Saturday again was one of those days that you could have hung your head. There was not even, we talked to Brad Keller after the game on Saturday. It's not like he was devastated by it. He said how, like, the bullpen group is quick to rally around each other. If someone has that rare bad outing, they're quick to say, "Hey, shake it off." It's that's not going to happen very often with this group. Uh, Keller had given up 1 earned run before that outing since April 22nd. He's just been remarkably consistent. Uh, he gave up 2 home runs. They hit 2 pitches that he missed location on. It wasn't a good day for him. It just like you don't want to make too many excuses for the guy, but uh, those outings happen. Relievers are going to have bad outings, and this team quickly like just understands like one loss isn't a big deal, and they just are so good to like their ability to flush bad losses or the types of things that used to derail uh even it's not like they were bad clubhouses in years past. It just like the team wasn't good enough to overcome a short bad stretch of play. It would turn into a longer bad stretch of play. That's not happening this year, and they're coming out emphatically responding. And games like Friday are just fun for everyone. I don't know how you can watch that and not, as a Cubs fan, not be entertained and just kind of fall in love with certain players or this group. It's feeling like the more they do stuff like that, the more you watch Pete Crow Armstrong play, uh, Kyle Tucker quietly go about business, Michael Busch quietly go about business.
Yeah.
Say Suzuki just hit rockets all over the park. Uh, the more it feels like, okay, this team has a chance to do something pretty great this year. You add the right pieces at the deadline. This team can make a significant amount of noise in the postseason.
When you mentioned the Cubs teams from like the previous 2 years, I think of the Jed Hoyer kind of truism of good teams blow teams out, and that there were just too many games, too many like coin flip 50-50 type games that the Cubs played the past 2 years. And like, sometimes it breaks your way and sometimes it doesn't. And by doing that, you're taxing your bullpen. You're kind of like just wearing your team out. And like for John Birdie to come in and pitch the 9th inning while the Cubs were up, I think it was 11-0 at that point, whatever it was, an absurdly large lead. That stuff kind of compounds over time of just you're able to organize your bullpen, you're able to rest guys, you can build confidence, and also when guys are struggling, they don't feel like the entire season like is riding on their individual at bats. And clearly, Pete has benefited from this. I mean, Michael Busch seems pretty unaffected about everything, but he's been able to just very quietly become one of the best all around first basemen in the game. And I mean, just what a ridiculous like monster first half that Seiya Suzuki has put up thus far.
Yeah, you talk about getting an inning from Birdie. They got multiple innings from Jordan Wicks on Sunday.
Yeah.
They had to use Palencia because he hadn't pitched in so many days, and they have an off day on Monday, so they had to use him on Sunday. And this is after a bullpen game on Saturday, and your bullpen's still in pretty good shape. They've ended up not like burning through too many guys or overusing guys or tiring arms. The bullpen looks like it's still pretty deep. Porter Hodge looked great in his inning of work. It makes you think like, oh, is he rounding into form and finding his best self? And what does that mean for the group? And can that give guys rest that may get tired or exposed or whatever it may be? That's just it's a really good sign right now. There's a lot of positives going on with the Cubs. Obviously, that bullpen game, there's a reason for that. Let's come back after this quick break and talk about the Jameson Taillon injury.
Kratz, we talk about HelloFresh a lot, but In the Same Fam is another option for you if you're looking to go on your little wellness journey or you're very picky in terms of what you're looking for ingredients-wise. You can go Green Chef this summer.
And I can heat and eat because this summer I've got like 3 days where I'm not doing anything, and I'm sure those are going to get scheduled with something. Let's give me something super quick that I can heat up. The whole family's eating healthy and they're full.
Menus change weekly, 80-plus dietitian-approved weekly meal options. Green Chef makes it easy to find those meals to fit your lifestyle, so go check it out. FT fam, there is an exclusive offer. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month and 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50territory at greenchef.com/50territory.
Patrick, Jameson Taillon goes on the IL with a strained calf. I believe it's his right calf. And this happened while he was doing drills, just running drills. He's, they expect him to miss at least a month. Sounds like it. Not a great injury for him. From what I heard, I was talking to him, and then I talked to some pitching coaches. Everyone agreed he just had like a great bullpen session. They were really excited about the things he did. I don't know what that means, but still, I thought he pitched well in Houston. I think that's the most important thing. He got beat up by some Isaac Paredes long at bats, and that kept him from going deep into the game. But I thought it was a good sign that, okay, he put those 2 really bad starts behind him, and he's getting back to the super consistent guy that the Cubs need in their rotation. And then this freak injury kind of happens, and he does have like a right ankle injury, I believe, in his past. I think it was ankle. So you just don't want anything to linger there. You need to get him healthy, and I guess this happens at a decent-ish time in the sense that there's a couple of reasons. One, it's right before the All-Star break. So you can lean on your bullpen a little bit more and then get that huge break. Counsell loves to be creative with his pitching staff anyways. This gives him an opportunity to do that. He's really good with this stuff. And the second thing is, and this is the most important part of it, they were going to add pitching anyways. Mm-hmm. Now it's before the trade deadline. If you knew they were going to add one, this maybe this tells us a second pitcher as well, a second starter as well. And you just continue to add the bullpen depth to reinforce that area. We'll see how they address that, how big of a move it is. But I just think it puts an emphasis on what we already knew they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you had already heard this, Sahadev, of like they were going to inquire about basically every pitcher who might get traded this month anyways, and that was before the Taillon injury. I think Counsell said more than a month, and I feel like the first reaction is always, okay, it's not like an arm injury with a pitcher, and then you sort of take a sigh of relief. But then it's also, you think about how much power is generated from his right leg and how reliable he had been up until those last couple starts. I mean, really a guy who carried the Cubs along with all-star Matthew Boyd and kept things going in the right direction while Shota was injured and after Justin Steele's surgery. And so now they got to piece it together. I guess Jordan Wicks looked good last night. He certainly had a lot of margin for error there with a huge lead. But I don't know. I was curious your take of Ben Brown just sort of passed up on the depth chart. They just want him to work on stuff in Iowa. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't start until Sunday, okay. and he pitched 4 innings, I believe. It doesn't sound like they're, I think they want to give him both a mental reset and just I should check the numbers because I'm curious how many times he threw that changeup on Sunday. But it's not like he went super deep. He didn't strike anyone out, so I'm not sure what he's working on there. But he's incredibly talented. We know that. I don't think he's on the verge of coming up anytime soon. They're like Wicks can handle both roles. I think he'd been pitching well in the minors. I think they just want to give Ben Brown some time. That's my understanding of it. They weren't in a rush to bring him back, even with an injury. They could have brought him back at any point once you have the injury. Uh, I don't know if you'd say he's been passed up as much as he has things they want him in the minors right now, and they didn't know. Also, I don't think they want to worry about not having him stretched out. I think that's another
Good.
aspect. Just as simple as that as well.
Yeah, I do wonder too if like you kind of keep him down there and he gets right, starts pitching well. Maybe he's a name that's bandied about in trade talks as well. I mean, in the meantime, you got what Chris Flexen can be stretched out. Monday's off day, only 6 more games until the All-Star break. As long as Shota and Matthew Boyd can continue to do their thing, I mean, the Cubs should be in decent shape. I got to give the pitching infrastructure some credit here because with some of these injuries, you want to, sound the alarms, but I don't know, they've reconfigured the bullpen into one of the best groups in baseball, and it's a group that is a lot of sort of afterthoughts, as deemed by the baseball industry at large. They survived Steele's injury thus far. With Shota, they did not lose ground. I mean, maybe they even gained. I forget exactly what it was, but they've been a consistent first place team, and a lot of it is because of this resourcefulness, both in player acquisition, player development, and then just kind of Counsell and his coaches sort of putting them in the right places and pushing the right buttons.
They were 3 up after they lost to Milwaukee the day that Shota pitched.
Okay,
got hurt, and they're 4 up now. So they've gained a game. It seemed like there was panic right when when this lead had fallen to 2 games or a game and a half, whatever it was, and like I said before, they quickly have responded. We'll see how they handle this injury. I do think it's to have the Steele injury, to weather that, to have the Imanaga injury, to weather that. Eventually, this stuff catches up to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do think it happened at a time where they can kind of weather the storm, but you get through this week. You get through the draft on Sunday and Monday, correct?
Yes.
I mean, would this is when the stuff starts ramping up. So maybe there's a move to come in the next 2 weeks that eases this. I don't have the schedule in front of me as far as what comes up after the break and how many, they have 5 straight after the break, 6 straight after the break with the day off. So, it's not like they have a ton straight right after the break. There's ways that, they can kind of push this and if there's a move to be had sooner rather than later, that's probably what they want to do rather than keep going Jordan Wicks or bullpen games. But you're right. Like they've done a great job so far weathering these injuries and they've been really resilient. It's just too many. You can't keep losing starters and expect to gain on the competition every single time. So a move is going to be made. I think there are. Here's something else. I was talking to someone, and here's the argument for making a move sooner rather than later. They are looking at pitchers that may not be dominant right now, that they believe there are, I don't want to say like overhauls because they're not, because you don't want to do that in the middle. You certainly wouldn't acquire someone and say, we're overhauling this guy, like Nate Pearson last year, who they thought
right.
the short term and a long term plan with him. That's not the type of acquisition you want to see them make. Not, I mean, it's fine if they do, but not someone that's going to impact. That's not someone you expect to impact the playoff run. But if there's someone, it's like a grip change or a slight change, or stand where you stand on the mound, or maybe if it's an arm path thing, that can take a little while. Like, how long does that take? How willing is the guy to listen? So there are people in the organization that are saying we need to get this done now, as soon as possible. Like the sooner we have it, the quicker we can make these adjustments with the player. And those are some of the cases that, we're digging in on names, and we're sure to find some information soon enough. But those are the more, I guess, extreme cases, or cases of guys that may have like a 4.5 ERA. It's like, we see how we can make this guy a 3 ERA or 3.5 ERA, whatever it may be. The Cubs are good at that. And I think they're getting better at that. So how quickly you can do that matters right now at the trade deadline, and how long you have to work with the guy. An extra week to work with someone could be the difference between a couple wins.
That's a great point. I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, but they definitely have credibility in that space. And I think there is something to the change of scenery idea. You'd also have, amazing defenders all around you. That helps as well. A really good catcher setup, even with Miguel Amaya still sidelined. Like, there is a lot of kind of things you can point to. And it seems like the way they're thinking about this as well is like, what's the best possible 13-man staff? And this is the council outgetter philosophy of like, okay, maybe there isn't that like obvious game one playoff starter out there. Like, I don't know, you're not trading for like Randy Johnson or whatever. Think of like the biggest kind of deadline trades ever. But what if you get a guy who can give you 5 innings, or maybe there's like a multi-inning swingman that helps in a lot of different ways. I think they're thinking about it in different terms, and maybe not just sort of the traditional way we've thought about the trade deadline.
Yeah, and just, I think that's counsel in general. Our buddy Paul Sullivan asked, like, are you considering Chris Flexen as a starter? He asked a couple questions about starter, and he's like, and counsel's like, I don't want to lecture you, I don't want to go on a whole diatribe, but he's like, I'd really caution you about using the word starter. I don't think of it that way. And I think counsel's point was essentially like, it's back to the outgetter mode. That's how he thinks. That's how he's looking at it. They'll piece it together however they feel is best, however they can find ways to get wins. Maybe it's different in October. I think it is different in October because you can actually be more aggressive with when you pull guys, and it's like, the 6-7 inning starters even. I mean, it's valuable if you can get that, but it's not as common anymore. It's just they treat October differently. Let's talk about All-Star Matthew Boyd when we come back, Patrick.
Nothing says summer like long days, clutch plays, and firing off a few bets on the game, all with DraftKings Sportsbook. Never bet on baseball before? It's easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Patrick, Matthew Boyd is the Cubs' third All-Star. No other All-Stars. Slight surprise, but I just don't think it's worth going crazy over it, because A, like, every team needs a rep. B, I don't think there was anyone that was just like, that's awful, you can't put that guy in the All-Star game. Fans vote. Like I said, every team needs a rep. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. I think Michael Busch, with his 5th best weighted runs created plus in all of baseball, 5th best in all of baseball, deserves to be there. He has quietly been a monster on offense and just continues to get better at first base. He's a really good ball player. who knows what Zaire Hope is going to be, fans, but Michael Bush is a great player right now, helping this team win a lot of games. Carson Kelly probably deserves to be there. Nico Horner's made a good case for himself lately. Just a great defender. Seiya Suzuki obviously leads the league in RBI. Has turned into an elite power hitter. I think you could even make an argument if you wanted to for Daniel Palencia. But I think I think they made a great selection with Matthew Boyd. It's a great story. I think we both talked to him in spring training. Easy guy to talk to, but also he's both humble and confident in this way that that's easy to like, because you don't always want the like athletes have to be confident. That you need to hear that they believe in themselves, but you don't want it to be off-putting. He's certainly not off-putting, but he also believes in himself, and he said this in spring. He really felt like his best was ahead of him. And it can sound ridiculous when this is a 34-year-old who's had just like injury after injury for years now. But for some reason, I kind of believed him. I was like, I can see what he's talking about. I did not see this. I did not see him being this good. I thought he'd just be like a really good 3 for them. He's been an ace. He goes out there after tough losses oftentimes and shuts down the opposition. A lot of foul balls yesterday. Couldn't at times couldn't end the at bats quickly. It still ends up with 9 strikeouts, just 1 walk, 3 hits. Dominates the Cardinals for 5 innings. It seems like every time out there, he's putting out I think every start but one. He's gone at least 5 innings. Really only 1 stinker, and that was that rough one in Cincinnati where things kind of fell apart in the first inning, and he still battled through and gave them a decent 4 innings. It's just a really great first half of the season, and I don't know. I think you can basically say, like we just talked about the rotation, he's a key reason why they've not only stayed afloat but thrived.
Gratitude is the word that he uses over and over again, and I think you can see that in the way he competes, the way he interacts with the media, his teammates, the way he carries himself in the clubhouse, and just conducts his business in general. Just a really classy individual who looked really good with Cleveland last year. Of like the second half of last year, a guy who they trusted to take the ball in October. That's a big deal. To me, the question mark was really just sort of like availability, and he has absolutely posted for this team. And as you say, like the innings, the volume, the workload that he has carried is really impressive. And I think, Kyle Tucker has been a big part of like the confidence of this team day to day. But I do think, Matthew Boyd, even Ryan Presley, Carson Kelly, like the guys they brought in are grown-ups, really. I mean, and they're accomplished, they're experienced, and I think part of the reason why we haven't seen those extended down periods, Matthew Boyd is a huge reason because of that. It's whether it's a stopper or, a guy that can match up against really any lineup in baseball. And if you're the Cubs, you feel like you have a decent chance of winning.
We talk about how the Cubs offense can win in a lot of different ways. I kind of feel like when I watch Matthew Boyd, I don't know which version I'm getting, in the sense like, how's he going to win today? Mm-hmm. Sometimes he will rack up the strikeouts. He has these outings where the strikeouts are just, there's a ton of them, and he looks like a strikeout pitcher. But then you look at the overall numbers and they're not there, because he, as far as strikeouts, he has these huge strikeout games, but then he'll just get weak contact or limit damage or just, work deeper into a game because he's not striking guys out and just getting early outs with contact. it seems like he can win in a lot of different ways. He can attack the opposition in a lot of different ways. This is one of those trust us wins in the free agent market. I think it's one of those things that you look at it side eye, like, what, this is their big pitching move. This is how they're going to try and win the division. And then this happens, and it's like, okay, maybe we need to start giving them a little bit more leeway. They're getting some wins here. They're getting some free agent victories. What do they have behind the scenes that's working? Whether it's the acquisition team, whether it's the pitching infrastructure, whatever part of the front office, it's multiple parts of the front office, but whatever part you want to give credit to, it's one of those situations where we're starting to see little things add up, and the Cubs are getting some wins there. For all the criticism we've doled out over the years, I think they're starting to get the wins. It's all, I think for me, it was always like, hey, I think things are on the rise. Until I see results, it's going to be really hard to feel confident about that and forcefully say that. This is one of those situations where, okay, we're seeing results now. I think there are other ways that you can look at where they're seeing results. I don't think we really talked about this, but I don't want to derail the Matthew Boyd conversation, but we talked to Dan Kantorowicz on Sunday.
Okay.
And there was something brought up about how in that Houston series, it was Cam Smith, Cade Horton, and Matt Shaw playing. That's their last 3 first-round picks, all playing in the game. That says something about this organization. Like, how many teams can say that their last 3 first-round picks? I think it's one other organization that can say that their last 3 first-round picks are already in the big leagues and playing decently. Matt Shaw's struggling on offense, but he made some really great plays defensively this weekend. Cade Horton's been a huge part of this rotation, and you don't have Kyle Tucker without Cam Smith. Cam Smith looks good. I think he's going to be a really good player. They got one of the best players in baseball because of him. They're not able to make that trade without Cam Smith. It's huge. It's huge. There's multiple ways that a drafting players can help you. Your minor league system helps you, and you're seeing it pay off in various ways. The organization's gotten better. I think we're seeing signs of it. And Matthew Boyd is a huge sign of things, identifying talent, getting it before, like, acquiring that talent before. Remember the Brandon Morrow signing? That was after he broke out.
Right.
Matthew Boyd wasn't cheap, but he also, like, it was a good risk to take. It's a type of risk you want to see smart organizations take. I'll always argue that they need to add more and spend more. I'm not going to get off that hill, but it doesn't mean this wasn't a huge win for the organization.
Yeah, and you still have to kind of believe in people, and I think Matthew Boyd is an example. Bob Nightingale wrote about this the other day, kind of something we had been planning on writing, to be honest, but just how he's one of the nicest guys in the game, and that he's a person of faith who's shown a lot of resiliency in coming back from all these injuries, very generous with teammates, someone who is, like, naturally talented and physically he's a big dude, but also just, like, loves the game, loves his craft, loves competing. This is certainly not someone who was sort of hurt, sort of into it, just trying to get paid one more contract. No, like you said, Sahadev, he thinks his best baseball is in front of him, and certainly this first half has been about as good as it gets for Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, really easy guy to root for. You hope he continues to stay healthy and help this team out. Just a huge piece of the puzzle this season for what's turning out to be what feels kind of like one of those special fun seasons. We'll see what it brings in the second half, what more is coming for this team. But so far, it's been really exciting to cover. Matthew Boyd's a huge reason why. Thanks so much for listening. We'll have a few more episodes this week. Appreciate everyone listening. This is Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks for listening, everyone.